Yo, what's good? Real quick, wanted to tap in. You dead? We gonna be just really fucking with this shit like a little, like a little journal for the time being. But I'm about to talk briefly about progress over perfection, right? So anybody that's struggling with procrastination, you dead? It's a million different reasons why you could be struggling with procrastination. But I want to speak specifically to the people that struggle with procrastination based on perfectionism, right? So perfectionism might have came from being a overachiever when you were younger, having a lot of expectations on you to be a certain person, have a certain identity, growing up and kind of being meticulous about certain things, having a little OCD towards certain things. You get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you have like this perfectionism thing to where you look at the finished picture, right? Because you're also kind of a visionary, right? So you look at the finished picture, and when you see the finished picture, what you do is, because the finished picture is so grandiose and so big and so feels so far away, your perfection is gonna be like, well, I want it to be exact like this, exact like this, exact like this. And you don't see how you can make it exactly like that without doing a whole bunch of work, and you trying to do that whole bunch of work within that one day perfectly. So all of that overwhelms you and leads you to procrastinate and do other things, right? And it's so easy now to get distracted with social media and your girlfriend calling you, and this girl wants you, and your mama need this, and somebody need help moving. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to be distracted now. Everybody pulling you this direction and that direction. So the best way to get over it, you need to start repeating this shit in your head. Progress over perfection. Progress over perfection. Anytime you start to feel like you about to procrastinate based on perfectionism, don't do nothing. Drop everything you're doing. The best thing you could do is allow yourself to be bored. You got to start giving yourself time to be bored before you want to do a task. And you give yourself time to be bored before that task. And while you sitting there being bored, you could just meditate on the fact of progress over perfection, progress over perfection, progress over perfection. Because I promise you, when you think progress over perfection, you're going to start taking the steps towards getting that certain goal, right? And by taking those steps towards getting those certain goals, your inner inspiration and inner motivation is going to start sparking, right? And as you're doing the work, you go do it to get it done. It's going to feel good to do it to get it done. And then you go start getting lost in the work, because then your perfectionism can actually kick in. So I'm not saying perfectionism is bad. No. What I'm saying is you need to start the progress first, and then you can make the tweaks. So say, for instance, perfect example is this video, for example, right? So you could be like, I want to have 8K cameras, and I want to be at a million frames per second, and I want to have my Sunday's best fit on. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to step in that shit. I'm trying to put that shit on. You know what I'm saying? Trying to put that shit on and call a girl on the phone because she won't leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be thinking about all this shit like, look, I'm trying to make this shit happen like this, and this. But at the end of the day, if you start taking the steps, then the perfectionism is going to start bleeding through, because you could be like, oh shit, I could add this, or I could add this, or I can make this tweak. Or you would just start saying the right shit, or you just start doing the right shit because you already taking progress. So all of that, because all perfectionism is, when perfectionism leads to procrastination, that's your mind playing tricks on you. That's your mind trying to self-sabotage you, right? There's nothing wrong with perfectionism. The only problem with perfectionism is if you let it hinder you. You let it stop you from making progress, right? So if your perfectionism is stop you from making progress, you make the progress, and then you add the perfectionism on top of the progress, and magic will happen. Wonders go work. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it, man. Real brief, real quick shit. Whoever needed to hear this, now you heard it. Keep repeating that mantra. You can't forget this shit. If you forget this shit, you go fall back. You have to do this shit long enough to where your brain pick up on it and become subconscious, become unconscious competence. When it becomes an unconscious competence, now we talking. You dig what I'm saying? So put this shit in your notes, write it down, whatever the case is, and whenever you start feeling like you procrastinating this big grandiose thing, progress over perfection. Like, keep repeating it over and over in your head until you take action. You literally be bored. Be like, all right, I got this task coming up. I don't feel like doing it. I'm about to play the game or something, or whatever the case is, right? And that's another note for another video. We could talk about that, and I'm going to say that in this video. We're going to talk about in the next video how you turn anything that you do that you think will be a distraction into a money-making opportunity. We're going to talk about that in the next video. Hopefully I remember that. But, yeah, no matter what, whatever you got a task coming up and you're scared to do it, whatever the case is, make yourself be bored. Keep repeating that reframing of your brain. So keep repeating over and over. Progress over perfection. And then eventually, you stay there until you get bored enough to take action. You take action, start making progress, and then you can add your perfectionism on top of that. So that's pretty much it, man. I'm going to fuck with y'all in the next one. Fuck around in there, yeah.